Welcome to Dr. Cush's Exotic Drinks. I'm, of course, Dr. Cush, along with my barback Kyle. I'm not a real doctor, but I did spend almost 2 decades running some of LA's best bars. After years of teaching classes and training bartenders, I want to demystify the cocktail world for you. Let's try a few new things as I open up my bar to everybody. Belly up, chat, and let's have a drink. All right. Okay, we've done it. We are back. Whirlwind. Whirlwind hardly begins describing it. We are back in the bar. Thank you so much, everybody, for staying with me on our little travel show. We are back where we like to be. We are continuing the fall of Fizz tonight. Obviously, we would never abandon the fall of Fizz. We're not monsters. All right, we believe in the rule of law. The law says right now that until fall is over, we are doing fizzes. So we're going to keep knocking these out. Now, of course, fizzes is not the largest category of cocktails. There are some very famous fizzes, obviously. Let's name some. The gin and tonic. That's a very popular fizz. Even a little bit more obscure. Oh, this is a good one. Let me say hello to my brother who is in Japan. The highball, which I know my brother does not drink dark liquor, but if he was going to be drinking hard liquor, one of the greatest fizzes in the world is a Japanese highball. There's a great cocktail. If you are interested in them at all, you can probably go in and talk to some Japanese bartender about the bubbles per ounce, etc., about how that mixes very well with the whiskey. You can get real deep into these fizzes. There's also the French 75, blah, 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 blah. For the most part, what we are going to be doing from here on out is taking drinks and turning them into fizzes. I think we've covered most of the fizzes. We will do a battle box, a Fernet battle box here soon. I think that's an important battle box to do, as I am a fan of Fernet. But from here on out, we're going to be making some of these up. Now, this one technically is not made up. It shows up in a weird place, all right? And then it gets a little adapted. But we'll get into the whole thing. But tonight we're making a cocktail called the Plume. The Plume cocktail. So enjoy that, and let's get into it. Let me say hello to the people. Here is Espen, otherwise known as Moose. I still have a little bit of pneumonia lungs, so I can get real deep now. Suddenly, all of the karaoke songs. You guys want to know something fun about me? I, in the car, don't listen to normal songs. No, I listen to all songs with the lyrics taken out so that I can sing them and practice for karaoke. We go to karaoke once a month, and I am not, as it turns out, a great singer. But this has been throwing me off recently because I can only hit the low notes. So it's been a lot of, bo, 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 woke up in the morning, slave for bread, so that every mouth can be fed. Ooh, me Israelites. I got that song down. We're only on one person I've said hello to. Let me say hello again to Moose. Hello, Moose. Cheers to see you. Good to see you. Cheers and good to see you. Bon Bon was concerned we might not have a show tonight. We might not have. If there had been any more traffic on the 10 freeway going between Los Angeles and Phoenix, we might not have had a show. But I was able to not only get my pizza that I love in Phoenix. Phoenix has, as we all know, known for having the best pizza in the world. I was able to get my pizza and make it home on time. So that's pretty nice. Full Moon is keeping Bon Bon up. Uh-oh. Who's going to tell her? Who wants to tell Bon Bon? Nobody? She might be a werewolf. I'll tell you. Uh-oh, Bon Bon. Careful. Hey-oh! Guess who the night free? It is our Richie the Whiff. The only one of us who has ice named after them. Now, Richie the Whiff had something else to say down here. It looks like we have the return of, and I just want to correct Richie the Whiff, the world's okayest sparkling wine. That is incorrect. That is incorrect, Richie the Whiff. It is not the world's okayest sparkling wine. It is actually the world's okayest champagne. It is technically a champagne, so we're going to have to live with that. It is technically a champagne because it is a California champagne. Rich probably doesn't know why we're yelling Woo Sisyphus at him. But Woo Sisyphus is a way, Rich, to say that we missed you. So that is Woo Sisyphus. If you're ever missing anybody, just give them an old Woo Sisyphus. There's a bunch of Woo Sisyphuses for you. DC David Clark, winner of the 2023 Cush Tucky Derby, is in the house. Cush Tucky Derby coming up. It's only about 7 or 8 months away. So start thinking about your horses and which lane you want them to be in. Those are the only two things you got to worry about. Cooks, it is in my shopping cart. Great. All right. How do I get Cooks to sponsor me? Do you think I have to stop calling them the world's okayest champagne? Or do you think maybe that's why they're so great? I love Cooks because it's so just okay. Good evening, Shawnee Panabaker. They have to know that Cooks has to know that they're not like a great champagne. I mean, they have to know, right? Is this going to be like the Bon Bon Werewolf situation again, where somebody's going to have to break it to them? I hope that's not the case. Good evening, says Shawnee Panabaker. Shawnee Panabaker helped the husbands once win the 2024 Cush Tucky Derby. I don't see them. So tonight, you won that. Let's see. Who else do we got? Cocktail Princess. Did I miss that? Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. I don't know anything about it. I got the new intro. Oh, gosh. Is it a new intro? Oh, gosh. These are from earlier. Wow. We got a lot of... Stop rubbing it, Grant. Stop rubbing it in, Grant. Oh, wait. No, this is fine. What's going on? Anyway, Davey Virtue, the 2,000 subscriber to the show. We are now at 2,180. We haven't moved much. Hello, Christian Luna. Good to see you. I have evidently very expensive whiskey on the flight to Japan, and it was gross. Yeah, that is a bummer. That is a significant bummer. I have 2 brothers. Both of my younger brothers do not like whiskey at all. Think of the traveling we could do together. Heading down to the old whiskey trail down Kentucky Way. We could sit and drink and reminisce about our childhoods. You know, me spitting in their mouths, them hitting me with baseball bats. You know, the whole thing, we could sit there and talk about that. But neither one of my brothers drink whiskey, or hardly at all. Quite a bummer. Now wait, or so now the furry's getting called. Oh my gosh, this has gone all out of place. Cooks went from $7 to $19. What the heck? Hopefully they're charging more so that they can pay a spokesperson. I don't know. It's because Cush advertised it. I don't think that's the case. All right. This is an interesting cocktail we're making tonight. It is called the Plume, and it's not just called the Plume out of nowhere. It's not because it just happened to be red and somebody's like, I don't know, I like plums. What's a plum with a little E on it? That's a plume. That's not how this came about. This came about because it is the stepping forward. It is the graduation. It is the continuation, I think is a better word, of an older cocktail called the Quill. We have made the Quill on this show a long time ago, but we're going to talk about it again because, after all, that's what we do. And nobody's going to go back and watch my... I think 23 people have seen the video I did on the last one, so we're going to talk about it again. The Quill is a classic cocktail. It only was ever written about in 1996. Okay, well, that can't be a classic cocktail, Cush. What does a classic cocktail mean? I don't know. But 1996 is not a classic era. For music, yes. The Gin Blossoms. Do I need to say another band? I don't even need. The Gin Blossoms were in 1996. That's all we need, the Gin Blossoms. Classic already. It was probably written about much earlier, or at least in some notes, of a guy named Harry McAloney, or McAloney, or I've never heard it pronounced. It's just Harry, and he wrote the ABCs, not the alphabetical order song. That's not what he wrote. The ABCs of bartending and mixology and whatever it was. He was a big time bartender, and he wrote a great book about it called the ABCs, blah, 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 blah. Since the production of that book, more versions of that book have come out. All right? And in that time, more cocktails have been added to that book. If Harry didn't know about it, how could it have shown up in 1996? He must have known about it because he wrote about it. And then his son and his grandson found the notes on this cocktail and just whoosh, slipped it into the book. They gave credit to a guy named Payne. His name was something Payne. Thomas Payne? Maybe Thomas Payne. Anyway, Payne, this guy whose last name is Payne, he was a theater critic, all right? And he wrote for a production, for a magazine, basically, called The Quill. So, Harry McAloney probably met this Payne fellow, liked the idea of the cocktail, or even created the cocktail for him, and then wrote it down and decided, you know what, put it off to the side. Maybe for the next book. Harry dies. Years and years later, his son and grandson find the notes and slip it back in there. So it is an old cocktail that we only really learned about in 1996. And that was a dead era for cocktails. So the fact that we ever learned about it is spectacular. That's the story of the Quill. We're making the Plume, all right? If we know the story, if we look at the ingredients for this, and it's very similar to another cocktail called the Negroni, the Quill is, it's just a little bit of absinthe added to it. If you then look at how the Negroni changes into the Negroni Sbagliato, you will quickly see exactly how this cocktail is made, all right? It's basically the Quill is as a writing implement using a feather, I assume. I assume that's the only way you do it. And then a plume is another type of feather. Very, very similar. That's all we're doing here today, guys. So we are taking the Quill, which was this Payne fellow's favorite drink, or at least a drink that was in his realm. Harry McAloney created it, put it into some notes, never made it into the cocktail world, and then got slipped back into the book much later. Do we feel good about that explanation? Should we do it one more time? Should we start the show over and do it one more time? I don't think so. I think we got it. We're building this one in glass. That one doesn't spin. Boring when they don't spin. We're making this one in glass. It is a very simple cocktail. If you forget how to make this one, but you remember how to make the Negroni Sbagliato, there's something going on. It's the exact same cocktail with a little absinthe in it. That's all we're doing. Let's get into it. We're doing equal parts of some sweet verm and a little bit of Campari, but equal parts. So let's reach down here for some sweet verm. Sweet vermouth. Sweet vermouth. First. This is sweet vermouth. This is one of my favorites. It's called Carpano Antiqua or Antica. Ooh, you hear that? Oh, wow. It wants out. Carpano Antica. This is a red, sweet vermouth. More appropriately probably called an Italian vermouth or an Italian style vermouth. This stuff is made by the same company, or at least it was by the same company that makes Fernet Branca. We know that I'm a fan of Fernet Branca. Very good stuff, a little bit of bitterness. Find any sweet red vermouth that you want, or if you forget those two adjectives, Italian is all you got to remember. An Italian vermouth. We're going to be putting in 1 ounce of an Italian vermouth. We're doing great so far. Everything so far is turning out exactly like we want it. So in case you were wondering if the show was going well, you don't have to wonder anymore. It's going great. Campari. Should I take the sticker off? Oh, I feel like if I take the sticker off, I'm going to rip the Campari. I think it's going to have to stay. Eventually we'll get a new bottle of Campari, but we have a lot to drink through. This is Campari. An Italian sweet, or an Italian bitter red liquor. I don't know. I guess bitter red liquors are their own category. We've talked about this before. Drives me crazy. I just want them to be in the Amaro category, and we can call them red Amaro or red Amari. That would be so much easier. But no, Campari, Aperol. I think I have more. Ambrosia. They're in a different category altogether. So you can't be a red Amaro, apparently. You have to be your own red Amaro. Go ahead and throw in Campari or anything that is like Campari. I know a great brand that I was just talking to you guys about called Ambrosia. by the Don Chicho and Figley Company. Very nice, very easy. But whatever kind of red bitter Amaro you want to put in here, we need 1 ounce. If you're done with this, you can drink this. This is great. This is called a Milano Torino. Put a little ice in here. You have a great cocktail called a Milano Torino. All right. You put a little gin in here. You got yourself a party going. Now you have a Negroni. You put a little soda water in here. You have yourself an Americano. A lot of places you can go. This is definitely the forks in the road. This is where Robert Johnson I mean, honestly, if you're wanting to play guitar a little bit, this is a great place to meet. Right here at this Milano Torino, this is where the devil shows up to sell you whatever you want. And all it takes is your soul. It's a good place to end, or a good place to begin. We are going to continue on with this one, though. We want to make this a little bigger. So we're going to be putting in some absinthe. This is where we really sort of split ways. This is St. George's absinthe. We're using St. George's absinthe because, and this is not a great story, I've lost my other bottle of absinthe. I had a bottle of absinthe. It was just sitting back here. I know what it looks like, and it's just gone. So I don't know. I once had a house guest that came over and drank an entire bottle of 99 bananas. I'm terrified of the house guest that came over and drank my entire bottle of absinthe. I don't know which one it was, but I'm going to find you. And to be honest, you've probably found yourself at this point. We want to put in a 1/4 ounce of some absinthe. You don't need a lot of absinthe. Absinthe absolutely goes a long way. You guys will remember from my series called Drinker or Stinker, a lot of the stinkers were very absinthe heavy. Drinking absinthe as your main situation takes some guts. It takes, when I say guts, I'm not talking bravery. I'm talking literally, you got to get your guts in order. All right, we can't have some sort of gut issue. You got to be ready to go. For that. So we have our absinthe. If you want to drink this, you're also good. This is basically the Quill. Add some gin. You got the Quill. We have to add a little bit more in here, and I forgot to bring something. Let me just. Oh, there we go. I found it. This right here. This is our Cooks. Cooks. The world's okayest champagne, although I am disappointed to hear DC Debbie Clark brought it up, a number of other people have brought it up, that Cooks, for some reason, is more expensive recently. Now, I know some of us are bracing for a little, bump in some prices when it comes to things that are being flown in from out of the United States. I do want to let you know, though, that this comes from California. Despite the fact that it is a champagne, it comes from California. California, as far as I understand, is in the United States. Now, because I was just in Arizona, and I did not need my passport. So, we should not be seeing a rise in Cooks California champagne. But here we are. Here we are. Oh my goodness. Well, either way, we're going to go ahead and grab our Cooks, the world's okayest champagne. Wouldn't that make it a sparkling wine? That is a great question, Jeremy Foote. That is a great question. Technically, yes. But also, I want to say, Jeremy, technically, no. Technically, no. It is a California champagne. Now, it says it's very difficult to see, but it does, because it can get real blurry. It says champagne. I'm going to talk about this until I'm blue in the face. Long time it takes me to get blue in the face. I already have a fairly red face. It's a big shift. Champagne refers to 2 different things. One, the region in which champagne is made. So technically, yes, you have to have champagne that just says champagne. It has to be grown in the Champagne region. That is true. A second thing, though, just because you grow a grape in the Champagne region does not make that champagne. You have to grow champagne grapes. They're different grapes, bigger sugars. higher sugars. That's why you get so many bubbles in here, because all those the very sweet little grapes and all the little chompy chomps, all the little yeasties, boop, 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 farting out ethanol. All right, that's why the bubbles are in there. So my assumption, and we will eventually get somebody from Cooks on the show if I have to drag them in here myself. My assumption is that they're using champagne grapes, but growing it in California. Otherwise, and I know this, the French do not care for Americans just calling something champagne. That is not their favorite thing. Cooks is a very noticeable brand, and if they write champagne on their bottle, they have to have a reason, and probably one of these. Oh, pretty good. Okay, you can do it. From the French. They would need at least a little head nod, at least a little tip of the beret, a little baguettes touching. So a lot of French people agree on things. I should know I play tennis with a French guy all the time. We need to find some sparkling white wine. We're using Cooks, which is a California champagne, and the world's okayest champagne. And we're going to be putting in 2 ounces of some champagne. We're going to slowly dump this out. There we go. We're going to do a fun technique. Gonna pour it in there fast. That way, we don't have to do as much stirring. We also, in this, we are going to put in a little soda water. This is La Croix. This is, I mean, this, you talk about French. This is French. Let's see where this is made. This is made in the very French city of Hayward, California. Oh, welcome to Hayward. This right here is La Croix. We only need 1 ounce of some soda water. Not a ton of soda water, just a little 1 ouncer. Paul's not here tonight, I don't think. Is Paul here tonight? Did I miss Paul? I don't think Paul's here tonight. Let me just see if I can find him real quick. Oh, there's Paul. Paul is here. Hello, Paul. Paul, wow. I did go back after Paul let me know that his Italians told him how to make an Aperol Spritz. I did go back and make that Aperol Spritz. And I will say, it was really good. It was very nice. So we will remake the Aperol Spritz at some point. A little bit less soda water, a little bit more champagne. Pretty good. Okay. Unfortunately, even though our good friend Richie Whiff is here, Richie the Whiff, the Treaty of Versailles, which brought an end to the war, is where the loophole was unintentionally opened that allows the continued existence of California champagne. Is that true? The Treaty of Versailles? The treaty, that's a fairly new situation. We used to have the only Scotch made near where I live that was allowed to the title of Scotch outside of Scotland, but since has lost that title. So it is possible. Rich, I'm gonna have to look into this Treaty of Versailles stuff. Treaty of Versailles was World War II, if I'm gonna pretend like I know anything about history. And I'm going to. I'm going to pretend right now. I'm gonna take a wild stab at it and say that has something to do with World War II. So at least one good thing came out of that. We're going to go ahead and put in our ice. Just drop this in. Bloop. Right there. Obviously, we want to get a little snooty with this. We want to put our little pinkies in the air and snoot around. So we are going to put a little garnish on here for things like the Negroni Sabagliato. The Negroni Sabagliato. It caused World War II. It caused World War II? The Treaty of Versailles caused World War II? I thought it was Franz Ferdinand. I guess that caused World War I, which, to be fair, World War I did technically cause World War II. I mean, I'm going to pretend like I know a lot about history. I look like a dude that knows a lot about history, like I watch all those things. So, in order to have Cooks, we had to have World War II. Seems tough. Well, this is not going to work. All right, there we go. We got a little run going. We're going to go ahead and give this a little We'll cut that out. We're just gonna take a little. We're gonna take a little bit of one of these. This is just a little runner. We're gonna fling that right there on the side. We did that really close to the drink. Why do we do that really close to the drink? Because we wanted those oils to just spray and go for it. We don't know which. Glen Brenton. Where was Glen Brenton made? I want to know. Yeah, just read the article 275, which covers labeling and selling spirits. So are we saying that only California can sell champagne? I feel like as soon as people learn that, they'll all move back here. Maybe we shouldn't tell anybody. The issues, although we signed the treaty, the Senate never ratified it. Oh my God. The issues. Oh my gosh. So at any point during the day, we could get one of those C-SPAN beep 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 beep. The Senate today has finally ratified the Treaty of Versailles, effectively killing California champagne. I love it. Jeremy Foote would love to live in Cali. It's a good place. I like it. A lot of people don't like it. I love it. So we're not bound by it. Okay, well, shoot. At any point, I just don't want to lose cooks. It's the only champagne that comes in the tiny bottles. Guys, this right here is the cocktail called the Plume. It is based off of another cocktail that is called the Quill, which is very similar to another cocktail that is called the Negroni. Or the Negroni, which technically comes from another cocktail, which is called the Americano. The Americano, of course, which is another cocktail that comes from a cocktail called the Milano Torino. So this is a long line. This is the great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson of the MT cocktail. It's a Negroni Spagliato with a little absinthe. We can talk for a long time on the show about platitudes, etc. But that's all it is. Cheers to you guys. It's very nice. The absinthe does something very nice to it. It doesn't overpower it. Obviously, the absinthe is fighting an uphill battle in this cocktail. We're going to have to... I forgot what I was saying. The absinthe. The absinthe in this cocktail is fighting an uphill battle. The Campari is already a very, very apparent flavor. It's a big, big flavor in this cocktail. So the absinthe is going to need to really do some heavy lifting. It's not doing a ton of heavy lifting. It is a very subtle absinthe flavor. More or less, it almost feels like we just sprayed a little there on top. It's very nice. Sort of falls in into place. Just tick, 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 tick. Finds its way. I'll be very honest. It doesn't even taste like... I was sort of afraid of this cocktail tasting a little bit more like a more bitter Negroni Spagliato. But it actually tastes a little less bitter. Although we think oftentimes of absinthe as being this big old bitter bomb, you know, with the wormwood, etc. In order to even balance it out, there's got to be some sugar going into this absinthe. And so the sweetness of the absinthe is more what we're tasting. So it almost gives it just a little bit of black licorice. It makes it a little bit more licoricey than the black licoricey part. So very nice. A big, big fan. I would highly recommend if you guys are into making weird cocktails, start here. Bon saying, I believe that Richie the Whiff is very smart. I agree. Richie the Whiff is... It's always good to have Richie the Whiff here because he always lets us know what's going on. Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. I wonder why, Jeremy, they let Scotch be done outside of the... out of Scotland. Oh, let me say hello over here to our good friend, Dougie G, who would argue that California, to some, that California is a foreign country. I agree. To like 189 other nations in the world, California is a foreign nation. If you're living in France, California, technically, it's a foreign country, or at least it's in a foreign country. But we're we're just like you guys. We bleed red, white, and blue. Red, but that's 1/3 of it. I mean, you're 1/3 there. If you're bleeding red, you're already in a good spot. And if you cut deep down enough, there's white. So that's what we're up to. That's what I got for you guys. Let me say hello to Cocktail Lulu. Very targeted class. You almost missed everything. But you did get to hear me talk about how cutting too deep will eventually show white and red, and then we just get to get some blue in there. Let me say hello to Source as well. Hello, Source. Cheers. Sorry, guys. Can we talk about it a little at the end? Nova Scotia is Latin for New Scotland. So, of course, in New Scotland, they would let the Scottish people grow their scotch. That's fair. I didn't know that Nova Scotia, Latin for New Scotland. Do they speak with that Canadian/Scottish accent? I'm not even going to try it. I live in a town called New Glasgow. That's spectacular. No idea. Look at all the stuff we learned today, guys. We learned that Harry McAloney had 2 sons who were able to slip the Quill back into an old book of his, or a new printing of an old book of his. We learned a little bit about absinthe, a touch about absinthe. We learned a little bit about champagne. And then the most important part, Nova Scotia is Latin for New Scotland. And inside New Scotland, there is a New Glasgow. And for a while, they were able to make their own scotch. I love learning that stuff. I will never think of Nova Scotia the same again. To be very honest, and I don't want to offend the entire state of Nova Scotia, I don't think about Nova Scotia that much to begin with. So it's not like I have to erase a lot of stuff about my memory. But now I'll think about it a little bit more and a little bit different. That's what I got for you guys. Reminder, unfortunately, we will not be able to be here on Saturday. This Saturday, I have a very cool opportunity where I will be bartending for royalty. So I will tell you all about all of that. Did your channel get terminated at some point? I noticed a lot of your old streams are gone. No Source. I don't know if this is a real person or if this is something else going on, but Source, I will answer you. No, I did take down a number of the very old ones because, this is on me. They looked horrible. They looked really bad. Eventually, I will put them back up on Patreon, so you guys can go back and see what I was up to back when the bar was just about knee height and I was bending over to make the cocktails. It was not the close-up shot was, let's say, not safe for work. Basically I was making this stuff right here, and that is just, it wasn't a good look. So I took some of those down, but I will put those back up on, no more card table videos. No, we don't have the card table cocktails videos anymore. I mean, listen, it seems like a lot of you didn't know that they were gone until Source mentioned something. So, a lot of those are gone. We will put them back up on Patreon at some point. That's what I got for you guys. I got to go get some sleep, or I got to go actually prep for this thing. I will tell you all about it next week, about the royalty that I will be making cocktails for. Very, very exciting opportunity for me. But unfortunately, that means that Saturday is going to be difficult for me. So we will be back here on Tuesday, unless for some miracle we have a Sunday situation. So, but for right now, let's call it Tuesday, and I will let everybody know as soon as possible about a Sunday situation. Thank you guys so much for showing up to Dr. Cush's Exotic Drinks. As always, remember, bye-bye. Sorry, I didn't mean to come back. Source! Source used to watch this show a long time ago. I forgot. Source, I wanted to let you know. I didn't completely forget you. I learned a lot tonight about Nova Scotia, and, I talked a little bit about champagne. So, Source, it's good to see you. Sorry, I didn't want Source to think I'd completely forgotten about him. Source and I actually wrote back and forth, I believe, a couple times on Instagram. So Source, pleasure to have found you back here again. We have changed bars and everything's different. So glad you are here. Yes, Source is back. So cheers to see you again, Source. Totally forgot about that. I didn't want you to think that I had forgotten all about you, but now I remember. Thank you guys, and always pleasure, never a chore. Bye.